Oh wow,
Well, I'm
Undertaker.
pretty sure we see exactly it. And, well,
Yeah.
Zalae is running a Death Rattle Priest.
It's gonna be Death Rattle Priest against Freeze Mage. So yeah, it's Hype's favorite version of Mage and a version of Priest that we haven't seen for a long time. Very anti-aggro. This Undertaker Priest deck has been very, very good against Hunter traditionally, in decks like Zoo, Shaman, of course. Has a harder time against control decks. Oh wow, that's a draw. That's kind of the dream for that deck, honestly.
Yeah, to get non-back-to-back Death Rattles. And but one of the things that this deck does struggle with is if it loses the board pretty early on, it's going to be in trouble because well, one, the deck doesn't draw as well as say Zoo because of that hero power, but two, they cut down on a lot of spells. So if they just get blown out like with a Doomsayer play, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, well, this game he's definitely going to draw as well as Zoo, because that Undertaker Chow turn 1, turn 2 Loot Hoarder, turn 3 Dark Cultist, that draws insane. We'll see if Hype can keep up with it. No Doomsayer is going to make it very hard to slow down the opponent. I guess you play Scientist here, maybe Loot Hoarder.
I wonder.
Yeah, perhaps the Scientist could stall for time. And there, the Zombie Chow is also somewhat encouraging because it's like you kill it off, you gain 5 health. If you can survive long enough for some AoE, it buys you time. Mad Scientist might even get you the Ice Barrier to fetch 8 health.
Yeah, I think we're going to see 2 drops being played here from Hype back to back, and then turn 4, an Explosive Sheep plus Ping on the Sheep to sort of sweep the board. But that Cultist is still going to survive through all of that. He's just deciding between Loot Hoarder and Scientist right now, I think.
So the Loot Hoarder, I know people always favor the Scientist because it gives you the card draw and put it into play, versus Loot Hoarder picks up a secret, and you wished you'd played it instead. So when he's playing the Loot Hoarder,
It's to give him an option
he's digging,
for
right?
turn
Trying
3.
to dig for something else.
Yeah, like he knows that Scientist is going to get a secret eventually from his deck. But he might as well Loot Hoarder first in case he gets a turn 3 play that's better than Scientist. Maybe he picks up Loot Hoarder, maybe he picks up Acolyte of Pain. Maybe he picks up a Doomsayer. Something to just play that he would prefer to play over the Scientist on turn 3.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right about that. It does increase the chances that he draws a secret that he would have rather pulled out of the deck with Scientist.
So I've taken a little bit of time here to analyze the situation. I guess the debate is whether or not he wants to save health on his minions or to play the Loot Hoarder and buff it. Shrinkmeister onto the Loot Hoarder is not something I was necessarily considering. And I think it's just because he doesn't want to take any damage on his minions whatsoever. Going to Cold a pretty good draw. Ice Block, not what he was necessarily looking for, and I think Hype will definitely resort to playing the Mad Scientist. And again, it's one of those things where at least he has it in his hand. If the Mad Scientist fetches Ice Block number 2 here, then he has both of them in hand, giving him some powerful options. And also, as he can continue to develop, he is looking for a card draw because he definitely needs more answers. After he has Alexstrasza, he does want to be able to follow it up with some kill potential.
Yeah, if he
Turn.
can survive to the point where he Flame Strikes, that's generally going to just take out anything in that Priest deck. Because it does play smaller minions, just so it has more ways to interact against aggressive decks early. But Undertaker's definitely getting out of hand here. Zalae's going to avoid putting Chow to 1 health. And pretty decent positioning against Cone of Cold here. I don't think there's a better way to do that. Yeah, definitely the best way. So now
So I have to imagine Explosive Sheep coming out here.
yeah, definitely. That'll force the heal on Zombie Chow, if nothing else.
Well, I mean, assuming his opponent doesn't heal it. Big Game Hunter is somewhat important too for the Priest, assuming they don't have the Shadow Word Death. But it's another minion for pressure post Alexstrasza, so that'll come down in future turns. But for now, Zalae, I feel like you're just going to try and put more damage on and play one of these 2 drops here.
Yep, I think we're going to see Loot Hoarder come down in the middle and healing the Zombie Chow.
That's a good point. Put it down the middle to play around Cone of Cold.
Yeah, it doesn't play around at this turn, but in the future, you'd usually want to put your weaker minions in the middle.
That's true. But even also, Loot Hoarder in the middle, so that way, no matter how he decides it's Cone of Cold, he has to force a draw as well. Because if he puts it on the left, then there could be opportunities in the future to avoid giving the loot hoarder
Oh
draw.
yeah, maybe just freeze 2 of the minions and
Right.
stuff. Well, Zalae's gonna think through his options. He's got a Shrinkmeister he can drop for a bit more power. Maybe that's the play over Hoarder, but nope. He's gonna go with Loot Hoarder. I think we're gonna see the heal on Zombie Chow. He's considering just Shrinkmeister instead.
Well, it's all about how much pressure you can put. Now, keep in mind that it still is a possibility that it could be a Giant's Mage, too. You have to be careful not to overextend into the board, and as a result, cause yourself to face 2 8/8s that you can't kill.
I see this play where Hyped has 5 mana and he chooses to just Hero Power Loot Hoarder instead of Cone of Cold. This is just why he's so much more experienced with the deck than I am. I would just throw out Cone of Cold there and just use a card I don't need to. Whereas he's very patient with his cards. Even at 18 life, Hyped acknowledges, you know, let's just play this slowly, go Blizzard into Flame Strike, save that Cone of Cold for the later stages of the game. Or we can maybe play a draw effect, like an Acolyte and Cone in the same turn. No reason to rush it out.
Oh, man.
He's gonna...
This is a total read that this is not Giant's Mage,
Yeah.
and I guess it's because he's seen enough cards where he can justify it. It's always one of those scary moments, though. If you can't pressure enough, Alexstrasza alone still might be a threat to kill.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Doomsayer here. I like it. I would Doomsayer.
And Cone of Cold.
Yeah.
I mean, Cone of Cold is much weaker as the game goes on, usually because the priest can build up a lot of minions, especially because Circle of Healing denies you the ability to get good Flame Strike targets. So, Cone of Cold is pretty decent here.
Actually, I think he will Blizzard the more I think about it. Because you want to use your Doomsayer on a turn where you have follow-up, right? So if Doomsayer blows up, you want something to do turn 7. In this
That's
case,
also a good point.
Hype doesn't have that. On the other hand, we see a lot of Priest decks playing Shadowward Pain these days. So that Doomsayer isn't guaranteed to go off. So, you know, it might be better to just throw it out now. But, yeah, if I'm hyped, I think I would Blizzard. And just save that Doomsayer for a turn where there's some follow-up.
Yeah, it makes sense, because if he had the opportunity to do on turn 8, it goes into Alexstrasza.
Exactly.
But now, unless he has Arcane Intellect in hand, there's nothing that guarantees him. It's a tough play for sure. The longer he waits, the more likely it is his opponent has an exact answer to Doomsayer. And it's Cone of Cold time.
Alright, there is a chance he draws a play for next turn. Could get an Arcane Intellect and Acolyte of Pain.
Well, in the meantime, Zalae might draw an answer too. Not necessarily the case. Here's another thing too that I'm always hesitant, by the way. I really hate Sylvanas against Freeze Mage. I never want to play it, because Sylvanas can easily be manipulated to steal a Doomsayer, and Doomsayer activates on your following turn.
Definitely.
So it just takes as simple as a Fireball, and for 6 mana they effectively clear the board. Maybe you can Power Word Shield into something else, perhaps?
I think I like saving it.
You think so?
Yeah, just to get some minion out of Flame Strike range later on.
Okay. Also, definitely a possibility.
It always hurts to just do nothing for 6 mana, but I mean, that's the power of Doomsayer versus Priest.
Right.
Almost always it's going to be that effective. Very hard to interact with that for most Priest decks without Shadowward Pain. He's just going to throw away Hawkeye to deal 2 damage.
Oh no, I think he's nuking his Zombie Chow.
Alright, to deal 5 damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty heads up play.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a 10-point life swing in exchange for 1 card, because it's going to deny the 5 health and deal 5 instead. Hyped does not drop follow-up. Very, very good for Zalae here for sure.
Ooh, that Ironbeak Owl.
Yeah, it's a big pickup.
Yep. It silences past the freeze. I guess Black Knight has nothing else to do. There's no targets really in this deck, are there? Unless they're playing Sludge Belchers.
So Hyped has an ice block developed, right? That's his only secret in play.
Yep.
Alright. So that's going to protect him from burst for at least 1 turn. I mean, he's sitting on 2 fireballs and that Alexstrasza. That fireball wasn't a great pickup because it didn't give him a play for turn 7, but that gets him just
That
1
much
burn
closer.
spell away from lethal. I mean, that Alex is going to come down with an ice block up, I think, almost no matter what. So the ice block will be popped on the turn that Hype plays Alexstrasza. There's a very good chance he has lethal the turn after that. There is no Shadow or Death from Zalae here. There's no answer to that Alexstrasza just yet. He's going to opt for the Sylvanas. Powered shield right now, protected from Fireball a little bit. Nice barrier. Okay.
Nice barrier is some ways to stall, give you time. Starts getting a little dicey though, like you said. Those burn spells are so valuable to contribute towards your ability to kill, but it is effectively gaining you 5 health in the process and filling out mana.
I like fireballing Sylvanas here because it's going to take care of the onboard answer to Alexstrasza from Zalae. So without that Shadow or Death, he's not going to have an answer to the 8/8. Most of the time you play Alexstrasza, it doesn't just die. But, oh, there it is. He drew it. Right, so now Zalae's going to have the answer regardless. So we're going to see either Black Knight or Sludge Belcher, maybe just Shrinkmeister Black Knight. Depends on how much pressure he wants to put into play.
No matter what he does though, he's not going to be contesting for ice block damage. He's going to be doing 7 maximum.
Definitely.
Now, that's pretty unfortunate for Zalae, 'cause unless he draws damage like Holy Nova or like a Holy Smite. But this is a Death Rattle deck, I have to imagine it's less on the spells and more on the minions.
Yeah, it's most likely going to be a Defender Vargas as his best draw. Alright, so I think we're going to see Alex come down. Hype is considering Flame Strike instead. He sees that Zalae had pretty much no plays here. No reason to rush the Alex, I guess. Might as well Flame Strike here, force him
Draw
to
more cards.
Yeah, take your time with it.
Still needs another Frostbolt with that Ice Lance, and he'll have 13 damage.
I mean, Zalae had such a powerful opening for the first 3 turns of the game. I think his best possible plays. And just to show like how lopsided this matchup is, despite all that, Hyped is just like seems very far ahead.
Yeah, and no matter how much you heal now, you can't overheal past 30, so Alexstrasza will do 15 damage. And more importantly, Zalae picked up, oh man, Pyroblast! But, like, Zalae has nothing to do. He can't actually pop Ice Block this turn.
Vol'jin.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I guess you might as well throw that down.
I think that's like the first Goblins versus Gnomes cards we've seen in the Priest deck.
Yeah.
It's a great one to have, too.
Shrinkmeister.
6/8. Oh, you're right. Shrinkmeister. You're absolutely right.
Alright, 5 mana Boulder Fist. Shadow or Death his guy. Let's heal up. So Priest has board presence now, but Hyped has the burn spells, and all he needs is, there we go, a way to enable that Ice Lance, which that second Ice Lance will do. So I think this turn you spend playing Pyroblast. He doesn't have to, though. I mean, he's got options. He can Ice Barrier Blizzard. He can Ice Barrier Fireball Face.
Yeah, I think he also needs to weave in some damage, because how much damage does he have total, assuming he play every spell? That's 6 from the Fireball. That's 4 from the Ice Lance, so it's 10. So he has 20 damage of burn. And I guess if he just uses his hero power ping next turn, he's just going to kill him after using the Fireball Ice Lances. So Zalae needs a significant amount of heal, but he doesn't get it. So that's it, I suppose. There's no way for him to gain life, right?
Yep. Hyped, being down 2-0, is going to keep himself alive, bringing it back. So the series is going to be at 2-1. Zalae just needs to win just one game, and it's over. Hyped is going to need to win 2. And it's going to get to the blind pick stage, so it's not going to be any of these predetermined matchups anymore. Players will have to look at their opponent's lineup, their lineup, and just kind of go through that whole mind games process.
Oh man, he had 17 damage, so that's plenty. And it looks like Hyped will get 1 game from this first 3 games. And now, like you said, the blind pick stage is going to be pretty tough. And the lineups are pretty unique, I would say. We don't normally see Priest and Hunter versus like